I know what you're thinking, ladies and gentlemen. This is the wrong screwdriver, and it's the wrong helmet, but it doesn't matter. Today, we're building a PC. How are you all doing, ladies and gentlemen? So, this is another reaction to another Dan Bull song. Now, the thing with this one is that this is a paid advertising. I saw it in the thumbnail. Basically, it said that it was an advert for something, but I'm absolutely A-okay with that, because you know what? How to build a PC, it's very important for everyone, I'd say. You know, you can get cheaper parts, you can have the PC be done to your specifications. You know, need more horsepower, more graphics card, you can do that. Need more RAM, say you're editing videos, you can do that. You know, for example, like me, my first PC was basically just this is a £400 PC, the cheapest I could build, because I was like 15 when I built my first one, 14, 15, and I was like, okay, let me build the cheapest one I possibly can, so I can get introduced to gaming PCs. To playing on Steam. And then I built this one, and this one was a lot more expensive, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be my multimedia machine, you know, that's gonna be playing games, that's gonna be editing videos, rendering videos, editing photos, rendering photos, so on and so forth. So, you know, you can build it to your specifications. Now, the problem I have at the moment, honestly, is that I've got I'd say about maybe like 30 terabytes in total on this PC, and I'm still running out. Like I've got like 100 gigabytes left. That's just the issue I have, because I don't delete old videos that I've recorded. I don't delete videos that I've edited, just in case something ever happens. But I think I might have to sooner or later. So far, I've got about like 28 terabytes of videos. But you know what? If you don't have no clue about how to build a PC, this song hopefully is especially made for you, specifically made for you. So, as I always say at the beginning of these videos, though, ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and check the original one out, which I will have linked in the description down below. Besides that, though, let us get ready to rock and roll. My PC is getting old, though. I'm not gonna front. Okay.
Welcome back to Rap School. I'm Dan Bull, your tutor.
Aye.
I'm about to walk you through how to build a computer.
Okay.
Despite what you might believe about building a PC,
It's actually simple. Yeah.
it's kind of like a puzzle where you put the different bits together. There's only certain places that the kit will fit the setup.
The way I always think about it, and the way I always teach people, because I have built PCs for other people and taught them how to do it as well, you know, it's the adult version of Lego. That's the way I always describe it. It's the adult version of Lego. If you played around with Lego as a kid, you know, the only thing you really have to worry about, you know, and make sure that it doesn't break is the CPU. Besides that, like, it's very difficult to actually break something. But yeah, let's hear what Mr. Duggleby has to say and teach us. I've got my notebook. I know it's a diary, but I've got my note. Wow, 2020? I bought this for 2021, did I not? Well, my goodness, the year has flown by. Like, this whole year in lockdown has flown by. Okay, well, this diary 2020. So, okay, I've got my notebook ready. It just imagine that's a notebook, all right?
And I'm going to take you through it at a comfortable pace. So let's cut to the chase. You open up the case and have a look inside. That's what the detachable cover's for. That panel stuck just to the back and up will store the
motherboard.
Stuff will all link up to that, but as a talk, let's bugger all, because of course we've got it all spread in a muddle on the floor. Now luckily this sequence is pretty easy to do. First thing you're gonna need to do is seat the CPU. Once you're sure there's no static and everything's unboxed, you can check your
One issue I have. You can't just say make sure there's no static. Oh, you gotta either have a wristband or like get rid of the static by touching like the back of the PSU. But like just say, oh, make sure there's no static. Like, you wouldn't know if there is a static or not. So like that, it can fry your motherboard. It can't fry. So you gotta be careful a little bit with that.
Align the triangles on processor and socket, then slowly lower it to lock it. Got it. Now you'll place the thermal paste where the heatsink sits. Gotta get it right first time, you can't rethink it. Squeeze a bit the size of a pea right in between the line of the heatsink with the screws on the side to complete. Apply some low pressure right on the processor and tighten the screws without any use. No stressor. Now, your heatsink's attached to a cooling fan. Connect that to the motherboard and that bit's just gone all to plan. As a reward, here's something straightforward. Installing
the RAM, yep.
Now it's time time to go back to the tower from prior. Look in the back, attaching a patch and a power supply here. Now once you've screwed
I quite like this. Like, it's actually just very straightforward. It's actually, honestly, just very straightforward. I'm talking about the rap song here, I guess, but like, you could also say how to build a PC. It's very straightforward, to be completely honest. Like, this rap, you know, he's obviously had a lot more creative raps and whatnot, but this one is literally just what it says in the title, which is just how to build a PC rap school number 2. Just very, very simple in a good manner, in a manner that's easily digestible and clear to understand, which is obviously very helpful.
in the back, attaching a patch and a power supply here. Now once you've screwed it in, it's best to check you're able to connect the bits you're yet to place to their respective cables. But don't plug them in yet, cause just in case it's best to wait until the next bit sits in place so you can check they fit the case. Come on, relax, it's a precaution, just avoiding heart attacks. Now screw in the motherboard with all the other parts attached. And locate the ribbon named the 24 pin. Bet you can guess why it's called that, even if you just only walked in.
Yeah.
The motherboard and PSU. And if it doesn't, you'll be surely seeing the issue. Next, the CPU cables, either 8 or 4 pins. Like how you and your mates may or may not have foreskins. And unlike that unfortunate punchline I forced in.
Okay. Alright, I guess.
Next, the CPU cables, either 8 or 4 pins. Like how you and your mates may or may not have foreskins. And unlike that unfortunate punchline I forced in, it's of great importance to make sure that they all fit. So put in the cable to the case.
You know what? No. You know what? No. I'll remain silent and just ignore. We're just sliding right past it. We're just gonna just slide right past it. Alright.
So put in the cable to the case's I/O panel section and any remaining wires that require manual attention. Then locate the bay your primary hard disk drive will sit in. Slide it in and fix the power supply via SATA ribbons. Tighten the screws to the device's sitting.
Actually, 1 second. I feel like 4 hard drives just lying around somewhere in the background there, but those are like old hard drive where I'd need like special cables to connect them. Those are like, they're like not even big hard drives. They're like, I don't know, 16 gigabytes hard drive from like, you know, computers that I had when I was like 6, 7. So like, nothing too terrible, but it did have Game Boy games on there.
Snug and tight, then redo the steps described for any secondary drive. Very nice, congratulations. Parts of that were hard. It requires patience to come out without being battle scarred.
True,
Thankfully, it's rather
true.
painless to get out the graphics card.
Just
Clip it in the PCI lane and that's your lot.
Aye.
Some require external power, some are self-reliant. Either way, it's likely you'll be fine without help required.
I very much agree.
The build was made by amateurs. Just wait until we deal with it with cable management.
the most underrated part of any PC. My first one looks like a complete and utter mess. I was like, it's working. Okay, coolio. It's done. This one, on the other hand, it looks like a work of art, right? You can't ever see the side because the side panel of it is facing my desk. So you can't see the side panel. But if you were to look inside, it would be magnifique. I spent so much time like getting the right cables, measuring everything out just to have the cable management be absolutely spot on. For what reason, I don't know. Kind of like I like my I was gonna say hardware, but like I kind of like my electronics to be neat. Everything else, as you can probably tell, is not neat. When it comes to my electronics, I'm like, okay, this cable needs to be here, this cable needs to be there, so I know exactly what everything is. As a kid, that was definitely not the case. I just had it all in one big bag, and I was like, okay, let me rummage in there for like 20 minutes trying to find a specific cable that I need. Oh, it's not here. Must be somewhere else. Great. But I've kind of like eased up on that.
Tuck away the random ribbons down the bay beside the main array and make them stay away from sight with cable ties. Hooray, it's time to power up your newly made computer.
Doesn't work.
Only to find it failed to boot up. That's okay, it's usual.
Yeah.
If there's no signs of life, it could be time to troubleshoot it.
True.
Otherwise, have fun and use your lovely new kit.
The amount of times I've built a computer and it just completely doesn't work.
Overclockers for sponsoring this video. Check out the range of ultimate gaming PCs from Overclockers UK.
Overclockers is a great site in the UK, I must say. The best site is obviously PC Part Picker because that will show you the cheapest prices available for each individual item. And a lot of the times, it's the cheapest parts are on Overclockers. So like that's how you kind of get familiar with it, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna let that play just for the patrons and whatnot that support him. As I'm choking. As I said, this one is obviously a lot less technical, or a lot less what I would consider creative as well. Or maybe creative is not the right word, but a lot less fun. This one was a lot less fun, obviously a lot more educational than like his usual music, but that's understandable because obviously this one is supposed to be educational while still having an element of fun to it with that one particular line. But yeah, I mean, there isn't much for me to say besides like if you're trying to build a PC, if you're intimidated by building a PC, if that's something that you're worrying about, if an idiot like, okay, I wouldn't call myself an idiot because I'm actually quite proficient when it comes to technology, I guess, but like if someone like me can do it, all right, then you can do it no problems. As I said, just make sure that all your parts are compatible, which is easily done, just by visiting a site such as PC Part Picker, which will tell you if something is compatible. Obviously, do your research. If you're building a PC, you most likely have an idea of what you want it to do. There are, many guides you can follow on the internet. I don't know whether he still does it, but back then when I watched Linus Tech Tips a lot, he used to always have like a month, let's say April, $2,000 PC build or whatever, and you can kind of like follow that or adjust things from that. But like there are plenty of builds out there. People are doing builds all the time because at the end of the day, people that want to build a PC, they do want to like get some ideas of what they can get, obviously benchmark and whatnot. So if you are thinking about building a PC in the future, don't be intimidated by it. One thing that I will criticize this video and that I'll say, you need to make sure is get like a static wristband, right? Especially like, because I noticed that issue right away because my room is full of carpet. My whole room, the whole house actually is a carpet. So you tend to get a lot of static. So even if you feel like I don't have a static on me right now, you might still have it, and that might transfer to your equipment and might destroy it. So like just make sure that you have like a static wristband. They don't cost much. They're like £1, all right, like in pounds obviously. So they're like £1 in the UK, right? So they're not very expensive. They're very, very cheap. Just put them on and all frequently like touch the back of your power supply. Because that also like lets the static out because it's made out of metal, and that will make sure that like your static doesn't affect your motherboard. But like besides that, honestly, it's like the Lego for adults, as I always call it, the Lego version for adults. Don't be worried or hesitant if or distraught, honestly, if like a PC doesn't like boot up. I had that issue because I built my PC I built my first PC when I was like 14, 15, 16. I can't remember what year exactly, but it was around that time when I was playing TF2 all the time. And the thing that it all went very, very smooth, right? It all went very, very smooth. I had no issues at all. It worked flawlessly. And then I built this PC, and I put, I was like looking at the equipment. I was like trying to like get some good deals. I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend a bunch of money, a lot of money for me back then, to build a PC that's gonna last me, 5-6 years, and actually it's lasted me, 6 years now. So exactly what I built it for. I am noticing that it's getting slower. I'm noticing that now. Obviously I can't play like the newest games on like 4K or anything of that sort, but like it's still doing its job very, very well. Maybe in like 4 years time I might consider buying and building a new one, but as of right now it's working flawlessly for me. But like the issue I had is that I built everything with this PC outside the case, and it wouldn't turn on at all. And then I'd like put them with, I was like, let me just try and like put the motherboard in the case, screw it all tight, and suddenly it worked. And I was like, how does that work? Why did it not work when like the motherboard was outside the PC tower? Why is it now working while it's inside? And there are a lot of like little errors like that. There could be an error where like it boots up and it's like Windows, it doesn't recognize Windows, or you boot it up and it's like it has this error and that error. So there are a lot of errors that you can have, especially during like launch. But that's exactly what Google is there for. Honestly, that's exactly what Google is there for. Like most motherboards, or at least mine, this one, granted, this one was quite expensive. I keep pointing there because like my PC is right there, but like this one was actually quite expensive. As I said, this PC is a lot more expensive than I probably would build nowadays. But this motherboard has like a LED. LCD actually, and well, LCD and LED function, which shows me like what is wrong with it. So it gives me like a code, and then I can just like search for that code and see what like the troubleshooting is. But like a lot of like modern motherboards have that. So like if you don't know what's wrong, you can always Google it. But even if you do know what's wrong, you can still get more help Googling it. If you have no idea what is wrong, you can always just type in your motherboard and just like troubleshoot it, on the internet. Again, there's always going to be issues, and that's not a problem, because there are so many solutions to things that you can all try that are all harmless, basically. So yeah, the only thing you need to be aware of, and I'm being very like educational here as well now, but the only thing you really need to be aware of is the CPU. Because if you bend the pins on the CPU, if your CPU has pins, if you bend it, then you're not gonna be able to get a refund for that. And obviously a CPU, depending on your budget, can be very, very expensive. But even though I say that, as long as you're very careful with it, it's not an issue. As long as you're very, very careful with it, and like you don't like push it down, like break it down, like force it in, it's all gonna go, very smoothly for you. So that's kind of how I'm leaving it off. Again, this video was very much educational. I thought it would be, like that. I've not seen the Rap School #1, but I also kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit as well. Considering that this video is educational, I also wanted to talk about the educational side of it. And I felt hopefully my advice has helped. If you are wondering, if you are stuck or whatnot, you can always just message me on Twitter or whatnot, and if I see it, I'll try and respond and help. But with the amount of information that's out there, I don't think you really need someone like me. But if you do, I'm always there to help. Besides that, ladies and gentlemen, how to build a PC, Rap School número 2, and I will see all of you, ladies and gentlemen, in the next one. I've had a full book of notes from this one. Yeah, so many notes that I'll see you. You know what? Oh, that was pretty cool. You guys didn't notice that, but I just opened the book, right? And I just opened it to the date that is today, 1 year ago. I opened the book randomly. It's like, oh, perfect date. But I'll see all of you, ladies and gentlemen, in the next one, everyone. Until then, have a nice day. Peace out. And as always,